Your brain has cheat codes, but here's the problem. It also cheats against you. Not because high IQ people lie more, but because a sharp mind can make self-deception sound intelligent. Every time life asks you to grow, your mind opens a hidden menu. One option says, be realistic. Another says, wait until you're ready. Another says, you need more clarity first. And if your mind is sharp enough, every one of those options can sound wise. It rarely says, destroy your future. It says, not today. It rarely says, give up. It says, think about it a little longer. That is the strange danger of a powerful mind. It can build, it can solve, it can connect patterns other people miss, but it can also protect your comfort with language so polished, it almost sounds like truth. A high IQ mind can create extraordinary futures, but it can also create extraordinary excuses. So the smartest people do not win by trusting every thought they have. They win by noticing which thoughts are trying to keep them small. And the third cheat code is the easiest one to miss, because for intelligent people, distraction often looks like learning. This is why intelligence is not always wisdom. Intelligence helps you see options. Wisdom helps you choose. Intelligence can show you 10 possible paths, but it can also give you 10 beautiful reasons to take none of them. And this is where many sharp minds get trapped. They do not always avoid life in obvious ways. They avoid it with language that sounds mature. I'm not avoiding it, I'm researching. I'm not afraid, I'm being careful. I'm not procrastinating, I'm optimizing. I'm not stuck, I just need a better system. And sometimes that is true. Sometimes you really do need more information. Sometimes caution is wise. Sometimes a better system matters, but not always. Sometimes the mind is not seeking truth, it is seeking relief. Psychologists often describe procrastination less as a time management problem and more as an emotion regulation problem. The task feels uncomfortable. The decision feels heavy. The next step feels exposed. So the brain looks for a way to feel better now. And if your mind is intelligent, it may not call that avoidance, it may call it strategy. This does not mean you are weak. It means your brain is doing what brains are designed to do. Save energy, avoid discomfort, and look for relief. But here is the quiet danger. A simple mind may procrastinate with excuses. A sharp mind can procrastinate with arguments. And if intelligence can become an excuse machine, the first cheat code is learning that your brain's first limit is not always the real limit. The first cheat code is simple. When your brain asks for less, do one clean step more. Not 10 steps. Not a heroic transformation. Just one clean step. Because your brain usually does not ask you to destroy your future in one dramatic moment. It asks for a small discount. Write less today. Skip the last set. Read 5 pages instead of 10. You already did enough. You can make it up tomorrow. And sometimes that is reasonable. Rest matters. Recovery matters. Knowing your limits matters. But there is a difference between listening to your body and letting your mind quietly lower the standard every time discomfort appears. Many high IQ people who learn to function well eventually notice this negotiation early. They can feel the bargain forming. At the desk, at the gym, in the inbox, during the hard conversation. Inside the unfinished project, they keep opening, then closing again. So they do something small. They write 1 more paragraph. They read 2 more pages. They walk 5 more minutes. They send 1 more email. They sit with the hard thing for 3 more minutes before escaping into something easier. This is not about doing more until you break. It is about doing 1 small step beyond the first limit your brain tries to sell you. Because if you always stop at the first feeling of resistance, resistance becomes the manager of your life. It decides your standards. It decides your confidence. It decides how much of your potential gets to become real. But when you do 1 clean step more, something shifts. Not loudly, not instantly, but quietly. Your brain learns discomfort can be present, and I can still choose. That is the real point of overshooting. Not ego, not punishment, not proving you are tougher than everyone else. Overshooting is not self-punishment. It is a quiet way of teaching your brain that discomfort is not a command. Code 1. When the brain asks for less, answer with one clean step more. But doing one step more only solves the first problem. The deeper problem is that your brain may have started calling comfort safety. The second cheat code is controlled unfamiliarity. A sharp mind often loves predictability, not because it is weak, because predictability lowers uncertainty. You know the route, you know the room, you know the people, you know the script. You know what kind of day will not ask too much from you. And for a while, that can feel peaceful. But if life becomes too predictable, the brain can learn the wrong lesson. Familiar means safe. Unfamiliar means dangerous. So now the new job feels like a threat. The honest conversation feels like danger. The blank page feels hostile. The quiet room feels unbearable. The first awkward attempt feels like proof you should not try. This is why some intelligent people do not need more ambition. They need a nervous system that can tolerate newness. Controlled unfamiliarity is not about doing something extreme. It is not about forcing your body into dangerous challenges. It is not about turning discipline into self-punishment. It can be small. Take a walk without your phone. Work in a different place for 1 hour. Start the task before you feel ready. Sit in silence for 5 minutes without reaching for stimulation. Try something you are not immediately good at. Have a conversation without rehearsing every sentence in your head first. These are not dramatic acts, but they interrupt the comfort loop. They teach the mind that new does not always mean unsafe. Controlled unfamiliarity means choosing small, safe moments where your nervous system learns that new does not always mean dangerous. And this matters because your nervous system does not learn courage from theories alone. It learns from experiences, repeated, safe, lived experiences. Chosen discomfort is not self-punishment. If it becomes punishment, you are no longer training your mind. You are teaching yourself to fear your own discipline. So the goal is not to shock yourself into becoming someone else. The goal is to show your mind that you can step outside the familiar and still remain intact. Comfort does not always protect you. Sometimes it trains you to fear anything unfamiliar. Code 2. When comfort pretends to be safety, choose controlled unfamiliarity. And this is where many intelligent people get trapped, not because they lack potential, but because their prison does not feel like a prison. It feels like a routine. Some people do not stay stuck because they lack ability. They stay stuck because the familiar gives them a sense of control. They think the same way. Avoid the same fear. Choose the same comfort. Delay the same action. Repeat the same private promise. And then call it fine. But sometimes fine does not mean free. Sometimes it only means nothing is challenging you. Nothing is exposing you. Nothing is asking you to become visible before you feel perfectly prepared. So the life stays manageable, the days stay predictable, the nervous system stays calm, but the future gets smaller. Not all at once, not in a dramatic collapse, just quietly. One avoided conversation, one postponed decision, one more weekend spent recovering from a life that never really changes. This is why comfort can be so convincing. It does not always feel like fear. It can feel like maturity. It can feel like peace. It can feel like knowing yourself. And sometimes it is. But sometimes it is only fear with better manners. Some prisons do not feel like prisons. They feel like routines. And some people do not stay small because they lack potential. They stay small because small became predictable. But comfort is not the only way the brain cheats. Sometimes it does something even more subtle. It gives you pleasure at the exact moment your future needs patience. The third cheat code is not denying pleasure. It is refusing to let impulse decide the timing. This matters because some people hear delay gratification and think it means becoming cold, rigid, dry, like a person who never rests, never laughs, never eats the dessert, never watches the movie, never says yes to a good night with friends. That is not wisdom. That is just another kind of control. Pleasure is not the enemy. Rest is not the enemy. A good meal is not the enemy. A game after a long week is not the enemy. The problem is not pleasure. The problem is when pleasure arrives too early and starts giving orders. Check your phone now, open the snack now, buy it now, play one round now, scroll for 5 minutes now, answer the group chat now, watch one random video now, and the mind says, it's not a big deal. Usually, it is not. But repeated enough, not a big deal becomes a life pattern. A small reward here, a small escape there, a little relief every time the real work starts to feel uncomfortable. The cheat code is simple. I can do this, but not right now. Not never, just not right now. That sentence matters because it does not turn pleasure into a villain, it puts pleasure back in its place. But for a high IQ mind, instant gratification can be more subtle. It may not look like candy, shopping, games, or cheap entertainment. It may look productive. One more article, one more analysis video, one more open tab, one more theory, one more plan, one more system, one more late-night search that feels like progress because it keeps the mind busy. And the sentence sounds so reasonable. I just need to understand it better first. Sometimes that is true, but sometimes the next article is not research. Sometimes it is fear wearing glasses. For a high IQ mind, distraction often disguises itself as curiosity, and that is why this cheat code is so easy to miss. Because curiosity feels noble, learning feels responsible, thinking feels safer than acting. But curiosity is not the enemy. Learning is not the enemy. The question is whether it is bringing you closer to action or protecting you from action. If learning becomes a hallway with no door, it is not preparation anymore. It is avoidance with better lighting. Code 3. When pleasure arrives too early, schedule it instead of obeying it. And when you put all three together, you begin to see the pattern. The brain cheats in 3 directions. It asks for less effort, more comfort, and faster reward. So the 3 cheat codes are not random habits. They are responses to 3 ways the mind protects the present at the cost of the future. 1. When the brain asks for less effort, do 1 clean step more. Write the paragraph, read the page, send the email. Stay with the hard thing for 3 more minutes. Not because you hate yourself, because you are teaching your mind that resistance does not get the final vote. That is how you break the brain's bargain. 2. When comfort pretends to be safety, choose controlled unfamiliarity, not danger, not punishment, not proving something to the world. Just small, safe contact with what feels new. A different route, a quiet walk, a difficult start, an honest conversation, a moment where your nervous system learns, this is unfamiliar but I am still okay. That is how you interrupt the comfort loop. 3. When pleasure arrives too early, schedule it instead of obeying it. Do not deny it, do not worship it, put it where it belongs. Later, after the work, after the decision, after the one step that your future needed from you, that is how you delay gratification without turning life into a cage. The brain cheats in 3 directions: less effort, more comfort, and faster reward. The cheat codes are how you answer back. Not with hatred, not with shame, not by trying to become a machine, but by learning how to lead a powerful mind that is sometimes too good at protecting comfort. Because the point is not to defeat your brain. The point is to stop letting the most frightened part of it run your future. But maybe the deepest cheat code is not any of these 3. Maybe it is learning that not every thought deserves obedience. So maybe intelligence is not about trusting every thought your mind produces. Maybe it is about learning which thoughts deserve your trust. Some thoughts come from wisdom. Some come from fear. Some come from comfort. Some come from impulse. Some come from avoidance. And some come from an old part of you that learned to stay safe by staying small. A high IQ mind is a powerful tool. It can analyze, it can connect, it can notice what others miss. But if it is not led, it can also become a brilliant lawyer for a life that is smaller than your real potential. It can defend the delay, defend the comfort, defend the extra research, defend the decision you keep postponing, and make all of it sound reasonable. That does not mean you are broken. It means your mind is strong enough to create arguments. Now it has to become wise enough to question them. Maybe the real mark of intelligence is not having a powerful mind. It is learning how to lead one. If this felt uncomfortably familiar, leave one word in the comments: bargaining, comfort, or reward. Which one does your mind use most? And if there is a high IQ topic you want Psyche-Life to explore next, share it below. High IQ is a wide and fascinating subject, and we want to keep studying it carefully along with other meaningful psychology topics that can help people understand themselves more clearly. We'll research, gather the right material, and try to create videos that are truly useful. And if this kind of psychology helps you know yourself a little better, you're welcome to stay with Psyche-Life.